that part first. All right, so welcome to Coffee with a Purpose, everyone. I'm sure we'll have more people filter in shortly after 9, as usual. Our guest this morning is Rebecca Gallo from A Place to Turn, who last joined us in November, I think, of last year, but obviously they've been busy with lots of things and have activities going on now that she's anxious to tell us about. So, just as a reminder, though, let's start with introductions of ourselves, just in case Rebecca doesn't remember us all from last November. So, Laura, you want to go first? You were telling a story about a long ago interaction with Place to Turn.
Oh, well, Place to Turn is a wonderful place. Many years ago, I was on the board of Jewish Family Service, and we came and did a 1 day donation of labor. And that's how I got really connected to Place to Turn in terms of knowing who they are and what they do.
Great, thanks. Carol, and say hi.
Winnie, nice to meet you, Rebecca. I'm Carol Berkowitz. I've lived in Natick over 50 years. I know a lot about you and look forward to hearing more.
Thanks. Cindy.
Good morning, Cindy Bates. 5-year resident of Natick. I live in the center, and I did find a place to turn because I think I made a donation within the first year of moving here, but I'm looking forward to hearing more about the organization. And also, Doug, I sent an email to you and Martin about something completely unrelated that might be shareable at some point.
Okay. You mean shareable this morning or at some future time?
Yeah, it's not on this topic at all, but it's happening on Thursday, and I just thought it might be something people would be interested to know about.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm sure we'll have time to get to that.
Yep.
Great. Carrie?
Hi, good morning, Rebecca. Let's see. I'm a relative newbie here in Natick, 22 years. Doing double duty, keep Natick beautiful, and Rotary. It just turns out that I am the person who'll be doing shopping for A Place to Turn today. So we'll be communicating later on.
Oh, wow. Okay. Brinley?
Good morning. Brinley, I've been here 25-ish years. And I think what you guys do is great. And so I'm really happy to have you here today for updates. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Brinley. Sarah?
Hi, I'm Sarah. Doug and I have been here since the early 80s, like 40 something years, which doesn't seem possible. I'm involved in a couple of different committees around town, interested in all things Natick and looking forward to hearing an update on what's going on.
And I've got the shirt, Natick, right? Most of my volunteer work is with the First Congregational Church there across from the Common. So again, thanks for joining us, Rebecca. I know I will turn it over to you. And I think you said you had some things to share with us on the screen. Your choice as to whether you want to kind of let us get through that and then take questions afterwards, or whether you just want to kind of have conversation and questions as we go along. We're fine with either.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me back again. I am, those of you who weren't here last time, so I actually live in Natick. I grew up in Natick, so I graduated from Natick High, left for a while and came back. So I don't know how many years that is total, but definitely very familiar with Natick. When I've been at A Place to Turn, when I met with you guys last November, I had just started not too long ago, so it's been a little over a year now, so I kind of have hopefully a little more, my bearings a little more, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I will share my screen, but it's a small group, so feel free to absolutely interrupt with questions or comments. Let me try to this. And... all right. Okay.
With yes.
So we are, as most of you know, Food Pantry in Natick. We do fresh food, lots of fresh produce, meat, eggs, cheese, dairy. We try really hard along with all the grocery items, and you kind of see our stockers in the grocery shelves behind us. We try really hard to give folks choice. That's a very big deal to us, and also a lot of fresh, healthy food, along with the rice and beans and canned corn and that sort of thing. We also do diapers, as some folks were talking about, for any families with children under 3, and personal care items, which switches up every week. So it could be soap, shampoo, that sort of thing. Because those are things that are, as we all know, expensive, and you can't use your SNAP or your WIC benefits to pay for those things. Like I said, we're set up like a grocery store, so folks go through with a volunteer, but they actually sort of shop the shelves. So we'll say, you're welcome to take one thing from, one breakfast item, one beverage, for a couple of reasons. First of all, we want to eat what we want to eat. No one wants to just be handed food. And also, there's a food waste issue. We don't want folks to go home with a bag of food where they're not going to eat half of it because no one likes it in the house. So what makes us unique? I kind of already talked about this, but really I think the abundance of fresh food. You see Roberta here with the bag of produce and the farmer's market behind her. So folks really do leave with a giant bag of produce that looks something like that. And in the summertime, it's actually even bigger because we get donations from a couple of local farms, Gleaners, Stearns Farm, Framingham Community Farm, and one more I'm forgetting. Anyway, so we get all the local fresh stuff, and then we purchase produce year round. So even in the dead of winter, the farmer's market still looks pretty much like this, and folks still walk away with a good amount of produce. We have staff who are trilingual, so about 80% of folks who come to the pantry speak Spanish or Portuguese as their first language, with Haitian Creole creeping up, and obviously English being the other language. So we do have 3 staff who are fluent in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, which kind of goes back to the dignity piece and the communication piece. So really we can have a conversation, like a real conversation with just about everyone who comes in.
Well, what did you say that percentage was, Rebecca?
But it's about 80 or so, 70 to 80.
Oh, the sizable majority. Yeah. All right.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Good.
And we don't ask, the only thing we ask folks to bring is proof of address. So just to show they live in one of the 12 towns that we serve. So Natick, Framingham, and 10 other surrounding towns. We don't ask for income. We certainly don't ask about immigration or anything like that. So some of that is sort of
that was actually a question I was going to have, but maybe you have a slide on it later.
Yeah.
Who are the customers, or who comes to this, and is it do they pay anything, or it's all free, or how's that work?
Yep, it's all free. Nobody pays anything. So like I said, anyone who lives in one of the 12 communities that we serve is welcome to come.
12 communities they serve. No wonder they have 80%.
Oh, sorry, I'm just gonna mute Laura. There you go.
We serve 12 communities. That being said, I want to say it's like 85% come from either Natick or Framingham, with Marlborough being the next biggest. And then there's kind of a smattering, Dover, Sherburne, which there's not a lot of services in sort of the wealthier towns. So we really feel like, well, it's not a lot of people volume wise. If you need food, no matter where you live.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I will say most folks, and I'm going to talk a little bit about, actually, my next slide. Oh, who do we serve? There we go.
Yeah.
We have 40% are kids, so it's mostly families. I will say one group that we're probably missing, and I'll kind of get to the end about a program we're trying to launch to kind of address this, is older adults. Only about 5% of folks that visit the pantry are over 65. And I know that there is a need in that community, sort of probably in all 12 communities. So that is a group we're looking at. How do we do outreach? How do folks actually want to get food? But right now we are serving a lot of families. Did that answer your question? I feel like that.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
And just numbers, so they're going up. I mean, I think is the bottom line for this last bullet point. We served over 49,000 folks with over 12,000 visits last fiscal year, so July to July, which was up from 9,000 pantry visits the year before. I'll talk about it in a sec. I expect those numbers to kind of keep creeping up, given some of the cuts to SNAP benefits and just economic situation. We'll see. So why do families use the pantry? And this is one I did, Carrie, you might have been there. I did a presentation for a youth group at Temple Israel. And this was actually something I pulled that I think is actually useful for all groups to kind of look at. So if we're looking at a family of 4, which is typically who we're serving, food costs, groceries are about $1,300 a month. SNAP benefits are $800 a month. So there's already a gap there. Food prices are going up. This was the latest stat I could find. 3.3% for food prices and 4.8% for housing in Greater Boston. So essentially cost of living is going up for everybody. Living wage in Middlesex County for a family of 4 with 2 working adults is $40 an hour. As everyone knows, the minimum wage in Massachusetts is $15 an hour. So again, there's just a gap there in affordability. Average rent in Framingham and Natick, this will surprise nobody, is, certainly not cheap. If you're making a minimum wage, that's really tough to make ends meet.
If I could just ask whoever joined with iPad, if you can rename yourself with your name, that would be helpful. Thanks. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Just real quick, so Food Insecurity in Massachusetts, I won't read all this. The Greater Boston Food Bank put out this really great report, if anyone's interested. Essentially 1 in 3 Massachusetts households are food insecure, with Hispanic households being 62% of Hispanic households, which to me is a staggeringly high number, and 43% of households with children, which is kind of a heartbreaking number. And the rest of it, again, not surprising. The last bullet point, 75% of folks who have SNAP, which is food stamps, report also needing additional food support. So that kind of goes back to there is a gap. Your SNAP benefits are not going to buy all the food you need. So we do have a lot of folks using the pantry who also get SNAP benefits. Our numbers actually go up at the end of the month, which makes sense because folks, the benefits are running out, basically. I'll go through this real quick, and this is, I should preface this with, this is not about politics. This is really about kind of the impact of some of the federal changes that we're seeing, changes to eligibility in SNAP. There's going to be a whole host of folks who either are no longer eligible or where the paperwork is going to get significantly more cumbersome. So we'll sort of see how that plays out, but we're expecting our numbers to go up, just given this reality. Reductions in Medicaid, again, that kind of goes to folks' bottom line. If you're losing healthcare, there's just more out-of-pocket expenses you have. Inflation, I already talked about. Immigration, as I said, we don't ask about immigration, but we do have a good number of folks who are English is not their first language. That's what we know. So we have heard, there is some fear in the community. So folks are potentially not going out, which just increases struggles to meet basic needs and access services and even go to work. It also impacts a place to turn operationally. So we actually purchase about 50% of the food we distribute because like I mentioned, choice is a big deal to us. Having fresh food is a very big deal to us. That being said, prices are going up. So when you're buying, like plantains went up 30% last year. So when you're buying 2 plantains, maybe not a big deal. We're buying, 4 cases a week. It becomes, just the bottom line starts creeping up. Cuts to the Greater Boston Food Bank. We get about 35% of our food from the Greater Boston Food Bank. They lost over $3 million during the first cuts. So we're seeing they're starting to charge us for things they maybe were not charging for before, like staple items. So that's money that now we have to purchase those things, and that wasn't in our budget. So just to kind of highlight the ripple effect of sort of what's happening. Again, demand is increasing, our operation costs are rising. And beyond all this, I think there's a lot of barriers to folks accessing the food pantry. So I talked a little bit about older adults, but I think for a lot of groups who may need us, transportation in this region is a huge barrier. If you don't have a car, it's really hard to get around. Cindy, go ahead.
Cindy, you're on mute. You have to come off mute.
I was just reading over the weekend about a farm in Concord that produces food specifically for food pantry places for immigrants, so that it's the food that they want. Do you get food from that farm? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Is it gaining ground?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we don't. I actually reached out to them recently. They have a wait list for agencies because the work they do, I mean, it's an amazing operation. I've been out there actually. It's awesome.
Okay.
So hopefully at some point.
So we need to get the Natick Organic Farm to start growing more diverse produce. Do you
That
get
would be
food
great.
from them?
We do not. We get the
No.
Framingham Community Farm donates some. We don't get any from the Natick.
Okay.
Um,
We'll work on that. Right,
That'd be
Finley?
Yes, we can absolutely work on that.
Be fantastic.
How about Douse? Do they produce enough?
So
Orchards?
Douse, that's actually someone where we've started talking to them last year. They donated a whole bunch of apples at the end of the season to us last year. So I think we are gonna start the conversation earlier this year, and hopefully we can do that again.
And Valenti?
Valenti, I've not reached out to. That's a good thought, though.
We used to live down the street from them for a long time, and then sort of knew some people in the family. So maybe we should speak to them and find out if they are what they are doing. Needham, I assume, is one of the communities that you
Needham is not.
is not.
It's a little far
Well,
out for us, so.
They don't grow all of their food. They grow most of their food out of Needham. It's not most of their farmland is not on the acres at their Needham place.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, it would be great to explore it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's family run, so they're good people. So, well, we'll see.
Yeah, that'd be great. So barriers, so again, this is not shocking to anyone. The hours are open, we're open 2 mornings, 2 afternoons, but folks still work hours that may conflict with that. Stigma, we try really hard to make it a welcoming experience, to make it something that's actually enjoyable, but still, shopping at a food pantry is not how anybody wants to get food. We know that. And there certainly is a stigma among certain groups. And then awareness. Folks may just not know we're there and where we are.
On the hours, you said you're open, what, 2 mornings a week? Is that?
Yep. So we're open Tuesday and Thursday from 9:30 to 12:30, and then Monday and Wednesday from 4 to 6.
And is it just the amount of volunteers that makes it difficult to be open other hours? Or like if you thought that there were hours that more people could come or something?
Yeah, so we've had lots of conversations about, do we stay open an extra couple hours on those evening ends? It is sort of a volunteer staffing kind of conundrum. Our volunteers are amazing. Coming from 4 to 6 works for folks. Coming from 4 to 7, 4 to 8, a bigger ask. So we could have 2 sets of volunteers, but then there's sort of this changeover. So we have been thinking about it, because we should be doing what works best for clients. Just sort of logistical things to think about. But yeah. And I think they had tried before me Saturday hours a while back, and nobody came, which was really interesting to me.
Wow.
Interesting. Huh.
Were you going to ask something else, Sarah?
Yeah, I was just going to ask in terms of the issue of transportation, whether there's any way, especially I think maybe somebody who was somewhat familiar with the pantry and kind of what's there, whether they could kind of put in an order and have it assembled and brought to them is that anything that might be helpful to people? Or
Yes, you are reading my mind. So I'm going to skip ahead to that program that we're starting. So yes, that is something we've been thinking about, because you're right. There are folks who just can't get to the pantry. And taking the bus, we do have a few folks who come on the MWRT bus. There's not a stop, but you can flag it down. But we find, they're waiting a long time for it to come back, to be honest. So again, the sort of like dignity, like I can just go to the grocery store and be home in 20 minutes, to have to spend an hour and a half getting food, just it doesn't feel okay to me.
No, that's tough.
So yes, so I think you're right. So I'm going to skip to our exciting new community food program. So this is something that we actually got some seed funding from the Metro West Health Foundation to start this. And really, this is in response to all these barriers that we talked about. We know that we are at capacity at the pantry in terms of staffing, and we also have, food storage is another ongoing conversation. I know more about food storage than I ever thought I would, and about ordering food and where to get it. It's a whole giant puzzle. So all that being said, it's tough for us to sort of get more food out in the pantry during regular hours. And we know there's folks who can't get to us. So this program really is an attempt to look at how do we get food to people in different ways, whether it's delivery, agencies picking up, maybe it's mobile markets. So we have a part-time community food program coordinator. Her name is Haley. She just started 2 weeks ago. She is fantastic. So she is meeting with everyone in the community, all the social service agencies, anyone we can think of for her to meet with. So if anyone has connections or you'd like to chat with her, that would be great. So really she's looking at how do folks want to get, like, who are we missing? And then how do they want to get food? So we're looking at some potential pilot programs from that. One thing that's already started, we have some agencies, Family Promise, Latino Health Insurance Program, advocates. They're already coming to pick up for some folks that already go to their offices. So they know there's, like, 5 families who they know who usually can't get to us, but they need groceries. So we do our best to give them as much choice as we can, and we'll pack them, and then the staff will pick them up. The Wayland Council on Aging has been sending their van once a month. It's been about 3 to 5 folks, so not a lot, but but I think that's something we could definitely expand with Councils on Aging in terms of most of them have vans that already go to the grocery stores. Could they just come to us? And that happens right after we close on Tuesday, so it's a little bit quieter. They get through really quickly, so that's worked well. Carrie.
You mentioned Natick Service Council, and I think you probably know that they've recently expanded the hours that they have in operation, which just speaks to the need for more people, the whole food insecurity thing. I had a little funny anecdote about one of the times I went shopping for you guys. It was to get eggs. So I was at Roche Brothers and brought out these big cases of eggs. I bought every 12 pack that was on the shelf. And I'm in line waiting to check out, with the little gift card. And somebody looked at me behind me and was like, wow, that's an awful lot of eggs. And I said, well, I'm trying to set a Guinness Book of World Records for the world's largest omelet. So they looked at me like, okay.
That tracks.
Do you have the world's largest pan?
I was thinking the same thing.
I thought you were going to channel Cool Hand Luke.
You know what I'm going to be shopping for this week? Rebecca? Sorry, not to.
I'm sorry?
You know what I'm going to be shopping for this week?
I don't. That is
Okay.
Anita's department.
Okay.
Hopefully not eggs. But we can get eggs from the food bank. That's a good week. I don't know if they had them this week. So, let's see.
Rebecca, do you have a part of your presentation that talks about your overall funding or budget? I'm just looking at that nice picture of the vehicle behind and wondering, that must be a big capital expense to have to manage.
I don't, but I'm happy to chat about that. So most of our funding, we get pretty much no government funding. There's a teeny tiny grant that comes through the state that's like $14,000. But other than that, we are fully funded through private donations and foundations and corporations. So our budget's about $1.9 million this fiscal year. The vast majority of that, pretty much all of it, is staffing and food. Food's our biggest expense by far. The budget this year is about $800,000 in food costs. So that's, more than half, or I guess about half the budget. The van we've had that for 5 years now. So that certainly is an ongoing expense. We don't drive it far, which is nice. So really it's going to pick up groceries at Market Basket. So it doesn't have a lot of miles on it, which is good. So we're hoping it'll last a long while longer. But I think with this community food program, I would love to find a grant for a refrigerated truck so we could really do deliveries and bring all the stuff without worrying about, coolers and food safety and that sort of thing. So I think there's the wish list that really is obviously dependent on some bigger funding coming in.
Yeah. You must have to, what did you say, 1.9 million, 1 point something million?
Yeah, it's about 1.9.
Yeah. So do you also have dedicated staff or volunteers in the fundraising aspect of operations? Or
There's me.
wow.
And there's me. We we actually this year hired a consulting firm to help us really figure out like some structure around the fundraising. So I think I'm hoping in the next year we should be in a place where we can actually hire a development associate or someone to help with some grant writing and at least sort of the thank you notes and that sort of busy work stuff. But we do not have a huge development department. Our staff is pretty much, except for me, operational staff.
Oh.
We do have a finance director who does that end of it, but that's about it.
What about, I mean, some of the populations, I don't know how transient they are, and do you have any gauge of how many families and seniors and so forth are food insecure that simply don't know about you? Is that
Yeah, that's a great question. We don't know. I will say when we ask folks how they heard about us, it's about 90% word of mouth. So we'll see, kind of folks from one neighborhood, all of a sudden all their neighbors are coming, which is wonderful. So we really love that. But I think to your point, there really is an opportunity for us to figure out how else we let people know we're here, other than having them know somebody who's been to us.
I was trying to think of a place where residents go that, like the recycling center. I don't know who traffics the recycling center, and I don't know if people who are short of food and don't have transportation probably don't go, would be my guess, or don't have any need to go. But I mean, it's sort of a place where a sign could be posted with their permission, and more than one language, just noting you exist. It might create some word of mouth among people who do go. Obviously, a lot of people probably don't have the need, but it does kind of confine it to people from Natick, for instance, which is, yeah. Go ahead, Cindy.
There's a lot of people who go to the Natick Farmers Market who have SNAP benefits. I'm usually there right at 9.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people, they're from Framingham. So that would be possibly a way is somehow
That's a good idea.
farmers markets to just let people know about you. In fact,
yeah, that's a great thought.
You could
I'm actually
probably
tabling in Natick tomorrow. Tomorrow is Tuesday. On Saturday. But I think maybe I think Framingham has a farmers market. There's probably other opportunities. That's a great thought.
Yeah.
Laura, you had your hand up.
Deb
Two
could maybe
things.
help
First
you.
of all, I understand, Rebecca, you just said you hired a new person for fundraising, and I want to compliment you. We just got the nicest thank you note for a donation that we've ever received from a food source place. So tell her she did a beautiful job. It's always good to have good feedback, but it was a lovely letter. Really, really lovely.
Okay.
And as far as Framingham goes, Framingham is well equipped with providing food. They have a lot. So I'm kind of surprised that we service Framingham as much as we do. I know people go to both because there's obviously a need. Is there a reason why we're so spread out? You said 7 towns?
12, actually.
Oh, 12. For little Natick, that's a big ask.
Yeah, it's interesting. Actually, when I started a little over a year ago, it was 20 towns, and we cut it back to 12. And I think so. Part of it is, so some of the 12, Dover, Sherburne, Weston, and honestly, there's probably like if 20 people from all those towns come a year, that's a lot. So some of that really is, if there are a few families where there's a need, they've probably been coming for a while.
Sure.
And to be totally honest and not super cynical, there's a fundraising kind of piece to not cutting out those towns too. So that was part of the conversation. But you're right. I think it's mostly folks from Framingham, and I think there are probably a lot of particularly older adults and even families in Natick who maybe go to the service council and could also use our help, or, maybe don't want to go to the service council because they're embarrassed, or, I mean, there's a million, everyone's got a different situation. So I think awareness is definitely a key going forward.
Thank you.
Earlier, so we've been talking about kind of who knows about it, or how many customers come, and then I guess we were talking earlier about
Hello?
focusing on fresh food. Sorry, I'm just gonna mute her again. Um, what am I trying to stumble with this question? The matching of the amount of fresh food you have and the amount of visitors um, to your facility. Do you find that you have enough fresh food? Do you find that there's food that has to get discarded because you didn't have people, uh, taking it in time? I'm just wondering how that match works.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll say two things. We have an amazing, our Zaneta, our purchasing manager, and our director of operations. So they both come from Zaneta. She's from the Dominican. She worked at our produce company in the Dominican for years doing the ordering. And Sharon used to work at Filene's Basement on the inventory end. So they are like, their spreadsheets are amazing. So they have figured out like exactly what we need, exactly what it's going to cost, like to the like, we need 20 juice boxes more on Tuesday.
Wow.
So that's amazing. So they've sort of really figured it out. And in February, we actually went through appointments. So for 30 years previously, it was walk-in. So whoever could make it during those hours, they can walk in. Last summer, the numbers were exploding. There were days we'd have 100 people a day, which was just too much. Like we were running out of food, people were waiting over an hour, like it just was not working. So we went to appointments. So with the appointments, we can actually know there's 70 appointments a day. That being said, we will always take walk-ins. We don't turn anybody away, but it controls it a little bit. So we know we plan for 70 families a day. And that on average in a week, it usually works out to about between 250 and 280 families a week. So if we buy for that amount, then we're generally not throwing anything away.
Wow.
If at the end of the week or the end before a holiday, we have a ton of stuff left, we'll always call like the Native Service Council and see if they can use it, or a different pantry, and see if we can give it to somebody so it doesn't go to waste.
Wow. Real science. Laura was mentioning that she had known about you guys 25 years ago. How old is A Place to Turn?
So it started unofficially in 1979. There was a couple that just was doing it out of their house. It was incorporated in 1983, and it's been at the church since the early 80s. So, and the church, the Harvard Street Church, is amazing. We pay $10 a year in rent, which is awesome. If we had to pay market rent, we could not give out the produce and food we give out at all. So they're amazing.
Cool.
Great. Well, I can run through the rest of these real quick, and then I can stop sharing. So how you can make a difference. Again, none of this will shock anybody. Obviously, we can always use donations of money, of food, diapers, personal care items. One cool thing, and some of you probably know this because you're part of the faith community, but all the churches and a couple of temples in Natick have been doing pasta for us for a year. So every congregation is taking a month and doing 1,000 boxes or however close they can get to that of pasta, which has been awesome. So if you're part of another group, even if it's something for a week, that's hugely helpful for us. And I think it's kind of a fun, I know some of the churches have gotten really creative with like Mount Pasta and like all kinds of fun stuff.
Mount
Which is really cool to
Pasta.
see.
Yep.
We always need volunteers. We need folks to shop with clients, to prep produce, stock shelves, all kinds of stuff. So if you have some time and want to help out, we would love to have you. And then I think just raising awareness. I think sometimes in, Metro West, we kind of forget that there is hunger, and it is really part of our communities, and, kids in schools, kids, going to school with our kids and grandkids. It's definitely there. One in 3 in Massachusetts. I think it's 1 in 4 in Middlesex County, but that's still a lot of people. And I will just pitch quickly the Ride for Food if anyone bikes and or walks. So it's a bike ride or a 5K walk. It's put on by 3 Squares New England. So it's a bunch of food pantries and food assistance organizations in the region. At the Greenough and Dedham Noble School in Dedham, which is a beautiful campus. It's on October 5th. We have a team, so the team A Place to Turn. All the money that our team raises comes right back to A Place to Turn to fund our operations. And I will say it's a super fun day. I biked it last year. It was a little hilly, but it was okay. But I've heard
Which one
the
did you do?
5K
25 or 50 or
25.
25?
That was more than enough for me. But we do have a couple of folks in our team doing the 50. I think there's one of our board members is doing the 100K. And then apparently the walk, my sisters did it last year. They said it's a beautiful walk through the campus. So if anyone wants to join us, we would love to have you.
Cool. Okay.
And
could you repeat the name of the sponsoring? Like you said, there was an Uber organization.
3 Squares New England.
3 Square. And can you say a little bit more about that?
I think really all they do, they're a nonprofit. All they do is the Ride for Food. So they put on this event every year as a way to, which is actually, it's fantastic for us because it lets us do an event where we can fundraise where we don't actually have to plan the event. Because anyone who's done event planning, to plan a bike race is an insane amount of work. So they do all of that, which is great. And we just need to fundraise and so to get our team together.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
What time does it start? I've done this before, but I forget.
Yeah, I think depending on what you're how long you're riding or if you're walking, the 100K I think starts super early.
I'm walking, but yeah.
I think the walk actually starts at 10 o'clock and then you can kind of get there to register a little bit early. And there's lunch after with beer and all kinds of stuff. It's a fun day.
And thanks to Brinley for putting a link in the chat to the event as well.
Thank you.
Also, Rebecca, maybe afterwards, if you're able to send me a PDF or a copy of this presentation or something, I can
yeah, absolutely
link that to the recording. Cool.
Well, I can stop sharing so we can actually see everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And you have a diaper
I had one last slide.
That
I stopped you at.
Oh, it was just my contact information, so I'll send that to Doug.
Yeah. I think you said you had a diaper drive going on this month too, or maybe you already talked about that. No.
We do. So September is Diaper Needs Awareness Month nationally. So we're doing diaper drives. I think a lot of the faith-based organizations are doing drives for us this month, which is hugely helpful. So anyone can bring diapers to us at any time. Obviously, if the churches are collecting, you can drop it off there. We mostly need sizes 4, 5, and 6. Everything's helpful. 4, 5, and 6 are the most in demand for whatever reason.
Yeah, I know we have in the sanctuary a big giant pile of boxes of diapers right up there to put it, make people aware of it and remind people of it. So.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, we had a Mount Pasta a while ago. Unfortunately, I don't think we came too close to our 1,000 box goal.
All of it's helpful. 1,000 is a lot.
Yeah. I was kind of amazed when they announced what that goal was.
Yeah, we're not a huge congregation, so I think
it is all helpful.
Yeah, Cindy, you've got your hand up.
I have a question about as a donor. What's the difference to you of? I can see if people give actual things, it's just easy. You put it on the shelf versus giving money that would allow you to get it, and maybe you get it more at a discount. I'm just curious in terms of, and I guess as a donor, there's a certain feeling when you actually give the thing that people want. But could you just talk about that from a nonprofit perspective?
Yeah, I think for us, they're both really helpful. I think in terms of donating food and things, I think the most helpful is to, Obviously nothing expired because then we have to throw it away. But I mean, bringing, a bunch of boxes of mac and cheese or a bunch of, a couple of things is always really helpful. So like doing a drive, we always try to ask folks to say like, can you do cereal? We always need cereal. Can you do, a few things? That's a little bit easier, but food is great for us because it also gives a little more variety on the shelf. Like we really do want, we want actual choice. So when we're getting things from the food bank or even when we're buying it from Market Basket, it tends to be kind of the same thing. So food donations are great to give us a little more variety. We do, with monetary donations, obviously our purchasing power is usually a little bit more. We're buying in bulk. I will say not always. When we buy from Market Basket, we are paying market price, which is something we're trying to kind of figure out. Milk, eggs, cheese, produce for using a wholesaler so that then we are buying it for a little bit less than you would at the store. So I guess that's a very long way of saying it is all helpful.
Okay. And
depending on what you
sorry,
what you
one
wanna
other
do.
thing. Are you a vegetarian food bank, food place?
So we always try to have vegetarian options for folks. We keep them sort of back in the freezer so if someone asks. Again, it's because our coordinators can speak all the languages, well, at least 3 languages. They can actually have that conversation with folks who say, I don't eat pork or I'm a vegetarian, or we have a couple of folks who come regularly who are vegans. So we always try to save stuff for them and do the best we can.
I guess the other
Gluten-free as
question,
well.
do you have meat? Are you giving away meat and fish and that's fresh?
We are. So folks receive, depending on family size, between 1 and 4 to 5 pounds of meat if they want it at every visit. So we try to make that as diverse as possible. So sometimes we get fish from the food bank. We'll try to, chicken's obviously popular. We try to do beef and pork, and obviously there are lots of families who don't eat pork. We do our best to accommodate what folks actually want and eat.
Thank you.
And we do have some gluten-free things too. We always hide in the back if folks are gluten-free. We make sure they have pasta and all that stuff.
Barry, had you wanted to say you're on mute at the moment? You're just gonna come on.
Yeah, I was going to say, sorry for any distractions there. I kept hearing this buzzing sound. I'm like, what's in my office here? And I went and got my little electrified vacuum. I think somehow this t-shirt I had a bumblebee just a minute ago. They were sitting on my shoulder. I'm like, so I thought I had he's gone.
We had not noticed, or at least I had not noticed.
Yeah.
So in Natick, we've got your amazing place to turn, the service council where I guess people can shop and actually use SNAP benefits. Is that right? Or
that's all
no?
free also.
That's also free. Okay.
But
And then there's the Common Street mini pantry, which is really oriented more, I think, towards just kind of I need something tonight. Are there other locations too? Where can people get food assistance in Natick? I know that's beyond the scope of a place to turn, but I'm just curious. You probably know.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think in terms of actually in Natick, it's us and the Service Council. Framingham certainly has a lot of resources that are open to folks beyond Framingham, like the United Way. I think almost anyone can go. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure Natick residents could go there. Daniel's table might just be Framingham. I think pretty much for Natick, it's us on the Service Council and then the free food pantry, which, like you said, is I think just really like I need a box of pasta for tonight kind of thing.
Yeah. I know the folks that run that. It's practically impossible to keep it stocked. But it does seem like they're trying to get a lot more donations there and maybe even consider multiple locations. I heard some talk about that, but
yeah, they did. I did have a conversation with, I think Maggie Sky is running it about possibly putting one at a place to turn, which probably doesn't make sense, but I think they're looking for another location sort of, I guess, in West Natick, which is great. I think that's really helpful for folks who really you're stuck for that night.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I think the intent is just I don't have a package of diapers for my baby, or I have nothing to eat tonight because I just had to pay the rent and that kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
Hmm.
No, I think the more different ways folks can access food and basic needs, the better. For me, this is certainly not a competition by any means. It's a good part of this community food program. It really is a collaboration, I think.
Right.
Everyone needs multiple things in different ways at different times. I mean, it could just be, wow, I lost my job for 2 months. I'm really struggling. And then I find a job and I'm fine again. And that's,
Right.
that's wonderful. I mean,
Right.
so we're here for those 2 months. Or it
I'm-
could be, a long-term situation.
I'm a member of the Community Preservation Committee here in Natick, and we're a fairly new committee because it's a fairly new program, but we just had our first round of applications to review and decide which ones to recommend to fall town meeting for funding. And one of them was an eviction prevention program, where, as you say, if somebody's lost their job, maybe they need help for a couple months. And a question was asked at the public hearing, well, okay, so you give somebody help for a couple months, what's the likelihood that they come back, after that short-term period? And it was very low. I don't remember. It was a single-digit percentage, which, it's, just this thing of like, people just need a little boost for a short time till they get back on their feet. And so I thought that was really, really interesting that, that it's not, it's very much intended as kind of a short term, get me over the hump because, I was sick and, couldn't, whatever it was, and you get them over the hump and then they're good to go again. So.
Yeah, I know with that mini pantry at Common Street, there are stories about folks that have been putting food in that had previously been taking food out. They had a crisis, they used the food, and when that crisis was passed, then they were back to giving mode. Well, it's fantastic work that you're doing. How long have you been with them, Rebecca?
A little over a year. So I started in May of 24. And Joanne Barry, who had been the director for 20 plus years, so she officially left at the beginning of July. Retired. So
cool.
I was going to add that Family Promise also has food, very personalized. But they do provide food to their clients that need food. And also, the Garden of Hope and Peace is available for anybody walking by to help yourself.
Oh,
do you know about that, Rebecca?
Is that the one by the Common Street Church?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's wonderful. Tomatoes now.
Yeah.
Delicious. I always forget about that, but that actually is a good place to point our folks. They're just,
Carol, were you getting our attention or someone else's?
Someone else's.
Okay. Saw your head go. Yeah. Cool. Well, Rebecca, thanks so much for coming and updating us on everything that you guys are doing and telling us how we can help. Sorry if anyone's hearing our howling cat in the background.
Our cat is having a howling attack, like he does most mornings.
So fun.
Cool.
Could I just ask one last question?
Yeah.
It's just back to Market Basket. What reasons so far do you have for concern now that the sort of legacy thing the suit has been decided?
Yeah, I don't know. So like I said, they don't actually give us a discount. So what we do is we order in bulk. So we'll order, whatever it is, pasta sauce, whatever we need in bulk from them. And then we go and pick it up. So given we're not getting a discount at this point, we're not too concerned.
Good.
I sort of hope as long as the ordering piece still is okay. I mean, we sort of have bigger questions around, like, we need to figure out how to actually get some food delivered to us. Like we're like picking up and putting down food too many times, but that's a different question, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. Well, again, thanks for coming. Cindy, I know you said you had a separate topic